talking to hundreds of mostly young women, but some men, journalists, and it's just, I am stunned by the sort of appetite and the anticipation and how much the first one meant to people that were very young when they first saw it. Everybody has their origin story when they saw it with their mom, and it's very gratifying, but it's also kind of mystical.
Before becoming the greatest name in Hollywood, her life did not begin under stage lights, but in an ordinary reality so common it could easily be forgotten. Meryl Streep was born on June 22, 1949 in New Jersey, into a middle-class family, growing up in an environment that was not lacking, but also never laid out a red carpet for any grand dreams. Her father was a pharmaceutical executive, strict and practical. Her mother was an artist, the only person who always told her, "You can become anyone you want." But that belief was not enough to make the world believe it too. As a child, Meryl was not a genius of acting. She was not the kind of child who stood on stage and made people amazed. In reality, she was a rather shy girl who preferred singing over acting. She studied opera, trained her voice, and once believed her future would be in music, not in cinema. But then, as she entered her teenage years, something began to change. Not because she suddenly became talented, but because she started to understand that if you do not create opportunities, none will appear. When she entered Vassar College, she was first seriously exposed to acting. And there she realized something that changed everything. Acting is not an inborn talent, but a skill that can be trained to its absolute limit. But understanding that did not make the path easier. After deciding to pursue acting, she entered the Yale School of Drama, one of the most demanding training environments in the United States. There was no room for laziness, no concept of being good enough, only pressure and constant competition. Meryl had to perform in dozens of plays each year, studying during the day, performing at night. And in between, she worked part-time jobs to support herself. No one looked at her and said, "This will be a star." There were no promises, no guarantees, only persistence and a very real fear that all of this effort might lead nowhere. When she left Yale and arrived in New York, reality became even harsher. She was not welcomed as a rising talent. Instead, she was rejected, many times, not because she was not good enough, but because she did not fit the standards the industry was looking for at the time. A producer even told her directly that she was not pretty enough to appear on screen. For many people, that would have been the moment they gave up. But for Meryl Streep, it was the moment she changed the way she played the game. If Hollywood did not need a beautiful face, then she would become someone impossible to replace. She began to dive deep into technique, learning to change her voice, mastering accents from different countries, studying character psychology to an obsessive level. She did not try to become a star. She tried to become an actor so good that no one could ignore her. But even as her skills began to surpass others, life was still not easy. Money was always a problem. Roles were unstable. The future was uncertain. And then, just as things seemed to show signs of improving, life delivered a blow no one could prepare for. The man she loved, John Cazale, fell gravely ill. And during that time, she had to face a harsh truth. There are pains that cannot be acted. They can only be lived through. But it was precisely those experiences, that instability, rejection, and loss, that built the foundation for something the world would later recognize. Meryl Streep does not just act, she understands people. And because of that, when the door to Hollywood finally opened, it did not welcome a lucky girl. That pain could not be measured, but from it, she stepped into the film The Deer Hunter, where she portrayed a supporting character with rare emotional depth, and for the first time Hollywood began to notice. Just 1 year later, she appeared in Kramer vs. Kramer, playing a mother who leaves her family and later returns to fight for custody of her child. What made this performance powerful was not grand lines of dialogue, but silence, expressions, and restrained emotion. Meryl Streep turned a character who could have been hated into a deeply wounded and complex human being. That performance earned her her first Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress. But that was only the beginning. In 1982, she stepped into Sophie's Choice, a role considered one of the most brutal challenges for any actor. She played a Polish woman who survived a Holocaust camp, carrying a devastating secret. To embody the role, she learned Polish, built a precise accent, and lived entirely within the psychology of a woman torn between past and present. The defining moment of the film was an unimaginable decision the character had to make, and the way Meryl Streep expressed that pain became one of the greatest performances in film history. That role earned her her second Academy Award for Best Actress. From that point on, Meryl Streep was no longer just an actor, she became the standard. But what made her different was that she never stopped. Over the following years, she continued to receive Academy Award nominations for a wide range of roles, from Out of Africa, where she embodied a strong aristocratic woman in the wild landscapes of Africa, to A Cry in the Dark, where she portrayed a mother misunderstood by society, each role crafted with near-perfect psychological precision. And then decades later, she once again proved she had not reached her limit. In 2011, she appeared in The Iron Lady, portraying Margaret Thatcher, one of the most controversial leaders in the world. This was not just a role, but a complete transformation. From voice, posture, expressions to the mindset of a powerful political figure. Meryl Streep did not just play Thatcher, she became Thatcher. And that complete immersion earned her her third Academy Award for Best Actress. However, what made Meryl Streep a global icon was not only award-heavy films. In 2006, she appeared in The Devil Wears Prada, playing Miranda Priestly, a powerful fashion magazine editor-in-chief. What made this role unique was that she did not need to shout, did not need dramatic actions, but with just a glance, a soft line, she could silence an entire room. That role earned her another Academy Award nomination, but more importantly, it turned Miranda Priestly into a cultural icon, a character remembered across generations. And then, after more than 40 years of her career, something no one expected happened. In 2026, she returned as Miranda in The Devil Wears Prada 2. The film quickly became a global phenomenon, earning over $200 million within just a few days, topping the box office with tens of millions of viewers worldwide. What is remarkable is not just the numbers, but the reality that, after all that time, Meryl Streep remains at the center of the story, not because of luck, not because of image, but because of pure talent. Off-screen, she chose a completely different life. She married Don Gummer, had 4 children, and maintained a private life, avoiding scandals. While Hollywood constantly changes, she remains the same. And perhaps what makes Meryl Streep a legend is not 3 Academy Awards or 21 nominations, but the fact that, for more than 4 decades, she has never been replaced. And the biggest question is not who will surpass her, but when will Hollywood ever have a second person like her?